Welcome to the 5th annual leadership course. That is not continuous. We started in 2009, and we used to have our courses at Villanova University. I don't know how many of you remember them. And then COVID. And we held the COVID year leadership course out of my house, which was crazy. And then we experimented with a couple different places. And this is our first time at Our Lady of Czestochowa, which I'm hoping this works out, because having a consistent place helps to develop the annual course, people knowing about it and looking forward to it. So the purpose of the course, it was in 2009, and we had 3 centers. So we were looking for a way to regenerate and start new centers. So we just started with a plan to have everybody come together, share a common topic. We used to have a mass said by our spiritual director at the time, and then we would break apart into the key leadership positions at a baby's breath. So the difference between a baby's breath and other centers is that we don't have a compensated CEO. And the reason for that, when a baby's breath first started, I was homeschooling 2 kids and expecting my 4th child. So I did not have 40 hours to contribute to the, I actually thought you build it and they would come. So I build it, and no director walked through the door saying, yeah, I'll do all of that for free. So this led to almost a nervous breakdown. No, just kidding. It led to necessity, breaking apart the leadership. And I wrote down on a piece of paper everything that I did. And I could organize it into 3 basic components. One dealt with the people, the clients and the volunteers, training them. One addressed the budget. How much money do we have in the bank? What's the fundraising plans for the year? And the other one was record keeping. So those 3 positions are what define the executive director at each center. There's 3 shared positions. So the course began the process, and I say begin because you could have a list of responsibilities, learn about them one day, but you're not going to be an expert in one day, clearly. So that was how we started. And from that point forward, we developed 2 additional centers, a medical service, a free ultrasound service. We transitioned many leaders, which is, again, one of the reasons for the course, is to bring your volunteers to it. They learn a little bit about leadership, and then when it's time for a leader to transition, they can do that fairly smoothly. So about the 14th year, we decided to embrace housing. I was approached by a deacon over in Phoenixville, and he said, hey, what would you do with 5,000 square feet? And I said, well, if we would just start a home, not knowing the first thing about running homes. So we took the basic model, which had the shared leadership, and figured out the components to add to that basic model to offer housing, which was an experiment, gotta say. So we figured out we absolutely had to have a house mom for someone to stay and keep the doors locked and that sort of thing. And that was an experiment. We went through 3 house moms till we found our current house mom, who's been there 8 years. And then we added on to the basic model of core services director to address the housing services needs. And that was also an experiment. But I should mention that one of the advantages of our approach is to deal with transition well, because we've gone through periods. Like over COVID, the Jefferson director decided she was going to homeschool. We can still function as long as we have trained advocates without a director. We can function without another key leader, the general manager, as long as we have a fundraiser. we can function, it's really hard. When you don't have somebody that's inputting data into the computer, that is a challenge. But if I have somebody that can do some of the data entry, write thank yous and that sort of thing, we can function. It's not easy. And I hate to put too much pressure on donation coordinators, but they really are the core of a baby's breath system. We have a website database that tracks all of our donations and record keeping, and that was developed in like 2007. And I have to say that is one of the reasons why we have 5 centers, a home, and all that we do. The last service that I'm going to have some people come up and update our current status of the different services. The last service that we developed was something called an independence program. So after the home was fully funded and functioning, we had a group of people that still like to raise money. So I said, okay, how about we start something to address the financial needs of our clients who are working through their crisis. So it's called the Independence Program because it addresses all aspects of their crisis situation, not just the lapse of financial need, but also their lifestyle. So this is part of our mission and charter to address lifestyle. We don't just say, here's your bag of free baby things. We say, let's talk about what's going on. Why are you in this situation? And compassionately so. So I gave you a long story about how we started the first one and how we continue to do that. And the reason for this conference being taped is my son, Jared Patota, had his first baby in 2023. And it was not an easy delivery or birth. But my son said afterwards, Mom, I want to do something for you. So he said he wanted to start forming some kind of a documentary about a baby's breath and how we do things, because we don't need government money, which is a huge help. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but over lockdown, the governor of Pennsylvania said, crisis pregnancy services are really non-essential. So they stripped the funding, and any center that was attached to funding got their support withdrawn, and our local Catholic social services shut down, where we were the only outfit in town that offered free help. So anyway, back to Jared. So he's been going to the various components of how a baby's breath function, came last year to the leadership course last year. And then he's been interviewing volunteers. If you want to see the progress on that, you can go up on Spotify, and we have a channel there, and a YouTube channel, of course. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about the course, and I will get started on the agenda. And our first speaker, we're so blessed to have her. I know about her story through all kinds of public media. I thought I would just have your website up here so that people could appreciate all that you've done, your journey. It's very inspiring how you started, but I kind of don't want to take the wind out of your sails. And I thought I would let you do that, explaining what brought you here to this point and doing all that you do. But would you please welcome Dr. Monique Rivera.